On my wedding day, I married my fiancé's older brother. He was supposed to be the best man, but when my groom ran away with my cousin at the altar, he walked down the aisle, took my trembling hand, and said, "I'll do it." I've been waiting years to say those words. The guests gasped. My mother fainted. His father stormed out. And I stood there in my white dress, staring at the man who had always been invisible to me, until the moment everyone else disappeared. I didn't know then that my perfect fiancé had been hiding secrets that would destroy everything I thought I knew. I didn't know that the older brother had been watching me for years, waiting for the right moment. And I definitely didn't know that saying yes to him would unravel a conspiracy that went far deeper than a runaway groom. My name is Victoria Hayes. I am 28 years old. I work as a pediatric nurse at Chicago Memorial. And on the morning of my wedding, I was supposed to become Mrs. Victoria Sullivan. Nathan Sullivan was everything I thought I wanted. Handsome, charming, a partner at his father's law firm. He proposed on a rooftop overlooking the city. He sent flowers to my hospital every week. He told me I was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. My mother adored him. My friends called me lucky. My cousin Haley, who had been my maid of honor since childhood, told me she had never seen anyone so in love. I believed them. I believed him. What I didn't know was that Nathan had been practicing love like a performance. That the woman he actually loved had been standing beside me the entire time. And that his older brother, Michael, had been watching me for 3 years, with the quiet certainty of someone who knew exactly what his brother was and couldn't find the words to warn me. The music started at exactly 11 in the morning. I had rehearsed this moment 100 times. Walk down the aisle. Smile at the guests. Take Nathan's hand. Say I do. But when I reached the end of the aisle, Nathan wasn't there. The priest looked confused. The guests began to whisper. My mother's face went pale, her hands gripping the pew in front of her. I stood alone at the altar, my bouquet trembling in my fingers, and searched the crowd for any sign of my groom. Then I saw Haley. She was standing near the side entrance, still in her maid of honor dress, but her hair was messy. Her makeup was smudged. And she was holding Nathan's hand. The entire room went silent. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The flowers in my hands felt heavy, like they were made of stone. I watched them stand there, and for a moment, I thought I was dreaming. This couldn't be real. Not on my wedding day. Not in front of 300 people. Not with my mother watching, her face already crumbling with confusion. Nathan, I said. My voice was steady. I didn't know how. What is this? He wouldn't look at me. He kept his eyes on the floor, his jaw tight, his grip on Haley's hand so tight her knuckles had turned white. He looked like a man who had been caught. Not sorry. Just caught. I'm sorry, he finally said. I can't do this. Haley stepped forward, her eyes wet with fake tears. Victoria, we didn't mean for it to happen. We tried to stop it. But we love each other. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart. Something deeper. Something that had been trusting and open and stupidly optimistic my entire life. That thing shattered. I had known Haley since we were 5 years old. We shared bunk beds at summer camp. We traded secrets in the dark. She was the one who held my hair back when I got sick at my high school prom. She was my sister in every way that mattered. And now she was standing at my altar, holding my fiancé's hand, wearing the dress I had paid for. 6 months, I said. You've been sleeping together for 6 months. Haley's face went white. How did you think I didn't notice you disappearing from my bachelorette party? You think I didn't see the hotel receipt in your purse when you asked me to grab your lipstick? I had been blind. But I wasn't stupid. I had seen the signs. I just didn't want to believe them. Nathan finally looked at me. For a second, there was something like guilt in his eyes. Then it vanished, replaced by cold resolve. Victoria, I'm sorry. But I can't marry you. I don't love you. A laugh escaped my throat. It sounded hollow and broken. You don't love me. You loved what I could give you. The guests erupted into chaos. My mother screamed. Nathan's father shot to his feet. And I stood in the center of it all, my hands shaking, my heart in pieces, and watched my fiancé and my cousin run out the side door together. I was alone at my wedding. Or so I thought. A hand touched my elbow. I turned to see Michael Sullivan, Nathan's older brother, standing beside me. He wasn't handsome in the flashy way Nathan was. He was solid. Quiet. His eyes were steady and dark, and they had been watching me for 3 years without me ever noticing. I'll do it, he said, his voice low enough that only I could hear. I stared at him. What? If you say yes, I'll marry you right now. I've been waiting years to say those words. I just never thought I'd get the chance. What did he mean by waiting years? Michael Sullivan had been invisible to me for 3 years. He was the older brother, the serious one, the man who ran the Sullivan family's medical foundation while Nathan played lawyer. He didn't charm. He didn't perform. He showed up at family dinners, ate quietly, and left without fanfare. I had always thought he was cold. Distant. Uninterested in the world around him. But standing at the altar in his best man tuxedo, he looked like the only real person in the entire church. His eyes weren't looking at me like I was a prop in someone else's story. He was looking at me like I mattered. Like I had always mattered. Michael, I whispered, you don't have to do this. I know I don't have to, he said. I want to. The priest cleared his throat. The guests were frozen, waiting to see what happened next. My mother was crying, her sobs cutting through the stunned silence. Haley's mother, my aunt, had her hands over her mouth, her face pale with shock. Nathan's father was already halfway to the door, dragging his wife behind him. The entire scene was chaos. But Michael didn't flinch. He just stood there, holding my hand, waiting for my answer. I'll explain everything, Michael said. But not here. Not in front of everyone. All I need is for you to trust me. I looked at the empty door where Nathan and Haley had vanished. I thought about the 6 months of lies. The late nights he called work but were really spent with her. The way Haley had stopped meeting my eyes months ago. The way she had started wearing perfume I didn't recognize. I had known. Somewhere deep down, I had known. I just didn't want to face it. Are you sure about this? I asked Michael. I've never been more sure of anything. I took a breath. Then I turned to the priest and said, yes. I'll marry him. The priest looked confused but began the ceremony. Michael squeezed my hand, and I noticed how steady his grip was. How warm. How nothing like Nathan's cold, practiced touches. Nathan always held my hand like he was showing off. Like he wanted everyone to see how generous he was. Michael held my hand like he was afraid I might disappear. The ceremony lasted 8 minutes. By the time the priest pronounced us husband and wife, the entire church was in an uproar. Nathan's father had already stormed out, dragging his wife behind him. My aunt was screaming at my mother, blaming her for the humiliation. My mother had fainted and was being revived by a distant cousin who happened to be a doctor. But Michael kept holding my hand. He didn't let go. Not once. We need to get out of here, he said. My shoes are 2 inches too tall and my wedding dress weighs 20 pounds. I'll carry you if I have to. He wasn't joking. He scooped me up before I could argue, cradling me in his arms as he walked down the aisle toward the side exit. I buried my face in his shoulder, not because I was embarrassed, but because I was finally starting to understand something. Michael had been watching me for years. But he hadn't been watching the way Nathan did. Nathan watched me like I was a prize to be won. Michael watched me like I was a person worth protecting. He had been waiting. Not for a moment to strike, but for a moment to step in and be seen. The cold air hit my face as he carried me outside. The church bells were still ringing, a cruel reminder of what was supposed to be happening. The limousine was still waiting. The photographer was still taking pictures of the chaos. And I was in the arms of a man I barely knew, married to him in front of everyone who mattered to me. It felt surreal. Like a dream I couldn't wake up from. Michael set me down gently in the passenger seat of a black sedan parked behind the church. "I need to take you to my apartment," he said. "There's something you need to see." "What is it?" "The file I've been keeping for 3 years." What else did he know about Nathan's plans? Michael drove in silence for 10 minutes. I stared out the window, watching the city blur past. My wedding dress was bunched up around my knees, the delicate lace already wrinkled and stained from where I had been sitting on the church floor. My veil was gone. I didn't remember taking it off. My hands were still shaking, and I couldn't make them stop. I kept seeing Nathan's face. The coldness in his eyes. The way he had looked at me like I was nothing. Like I had never been anything. "I need to tell you something," Michael finally said. "It's not going to be easy to hear." "I just watched my fiancé run away with my cousin," I said. "I don't think anything can surprise me anymore." Michael glanced at me. His jaw was tight. "Nathan has been planning this for months. Not just the affair. He has been draining your accounts. He forged your signature on documents. He took out a life insurance policy in your name 8 months ago." The words didn't register at first. They floated in the air, refusing to make sense. "What?" "He's broke, Victoria. He gambled away everything. His firm is failing. He has debts he can't pay. The money your parents gave us for the wedding? He already spent it. The house he promised you? He never bought it. He rented it for 6 months." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "The insurance policy," I repeated. "What insurance policy?" "A policy worth $8 million. You're the insured. He's the sole beneficiary. If something happened to you, he would collect everything." "Something happened to you." The words hung in the air between us. Nathan hadn't just been cheating on me. He had been planning to kill me. My mind went back to all the conversations we had about our honeymoon. A private yacht. A secluded island. He had been so insistent. So excited. I had thought it was romantic. Now I realized it was a trap. "How did you find all this?" I asked. "I started watching him after the Boston woman contacted our father. She was a mess, crying, desperate, broke. She had been engaged to Nathan 3 years ago. He did the same thing to her. Took her money. Took out a policy. She only found out because her brother worked in insurance. What happened to her? She lost everything. Her savings, her house, her credit. She tried to sue him, but our father's lawyers buried it. Paid her off to keep quiet." Michael's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I knew he would do it again. So I started documenting everything. The financial records. The forged signatures. The policy. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought if I warned you too soon, you wouldn't believe me. Everyone loved Nathan. Everyone thought he was perfect. Why didn't you tell me anyway? He was quiet for a long time. Because I loved you. And I was terrified that if I told you, you would hate me for trying to ruin your happiness. I was waiting for the right moment. I was waiting for you to see him for who he really was. A tear slipped down my cheek. You loved me. Michael didn't answer. He just kept driving. I've loved you since the day you accidentally spilled coffee on me at my mother's birthday party. You didn't even know who I was. You apologized for 10 minutes. You made me a new coffee yourself. You stayed and talked to me like I was a person, not just Nathan's boring older brother. I remembered that day. I remembered a quiet man at the edge of the party. I remembered feeling sorry for him, being alone, and making conversation. I didn't even know it was you, I whispered. I didn't care, he said. I just wanted you to see me. How much had he sacrificed to protect me? Michael's apartment was in a quiet building in Lincoln Park. It wasn't flashy like Nathan's penthouse. It was warm. Bookshelves lined the walls. A pot of coffee was already brewing. The smell of fresh grounds filled the air, and for some reason, that small detail made my eyes sting. Nathan never made me coffee. He expected me to bring it to him. He expected me to take care of everything. And I had done it without question, thinking that was what love looked like. How did you know I'd need coffee? I asked, my voice cracking. I didn't. I just always make coffee in the morning. It was such a simple answer. So honest. No performance. No hidden agenda. Just a man who made coffee because he liked to. I sank onto his couch, the weight of everything finally crashing down on me. The tears came then. Not polite tears. Ugly, heaving sobs that shook my entire body. I cried for the years I had wasted. For the trust one had given so freely. For the cousin who had betrayed me. For the future I had imagined that was never real. Michael didn't say anything. He didn't try to comfort me with empty words. He just sat beside me and let me cry. After a few minutes, he got up and returned with a box of tissues and a glass of water. He set them on the coffee table in front of me. Then he handed me a blue folder. Everything I have is in there, he said. I opened it. The first page was a copy of Nathan's financial records for the last 3 years. His gambling debts. His failed investments. The money he had been funneling into a secret account. Page after page of evidence that the man I was about to marry was drowning in debt. He was bankrupt, I said. Worse. He was drowning. The money your parents gave us for the wedding? He had already diverted it to pay off a debt. The house he promised you? He never bought it. He rented it for 6 months. My hands shook as I flipped through the pages. There was a copy of the insurance policy. My name. Nathan's name as the sole beneficiary. A coverage amount that made my stomach turn. $8 million. My life was worth $8 million to him. You were worth $8 million, Michael said quietly. Dead. I looked up at him. How did you find this? His insurance broker got nervous. Nathan started making threats when the broker asked questions. The broker had a conscience and came to me. Why didn't you go to the police? Because I didn't have enough proof. Nathan is careful. He covers his tracks. But I have enough now. The forged signatures. The broker's testimony. The financial records. I set the file down. What else? Michael hesitated. Haley. She's been draining your savings for 6 months too. When Nathan knew she couldn't access your accounts directly, she convinced you to invest in her startup. I remembered Haley's tearful pitch. The business plan I had signed off on. The $30,000 I transferred. I had trusted her. I had believed in her dream. And all along, she was just another tool in Nathan's plan. All of it, I said. They took everything. Not everything, Michael said. I have copies of all the documents. The signed agreements. The forged signatures. The insurance policy. We can take him to court. We can destroy him. But that's not why I married you. I looked at him. Why did you marry me? Because I love you. He said it simply. Without performance. Without fanfare. I've loved you since the day you spilled coffee on me. I just never thought you would see me back. What was I supposed to do with a love that had been patient enough to wait 3 years? The next morning, I woke up on Michael's couch covered in a blanket I didn't remember putting on. He was in the kitchen, making breakfast. The smell of eggs and bacon drifted through the apartment, and for a moment, everything felt normal. Like I was just a guest in someone's home. Like my entire life hadn't collapsed 24 hours ago. You didn't sleep in a bed, I said, sitting up. Wouldn't have been right. I watched him crack eggs into a pan. No theatrics. No performance. Just a man making breakfast for someone he loved. He moved with quiet efficiency, his movements careful and deliberate. He wasn't trying to impress me. He was just taking care of me. And that small, simple act made me want to cry all over again. We're married, I said, the reality of it settling over me. Paperwork, he said. Not real. I wrapped the blanket tighter around myself. What happens next? Your choice. We can divorce quietly. You can keep everything I have in my accounts. You're my wife now, so half of it is yours anyway. Or we can go to war. War? Nathan is going to try to annul the marriage. He's going to say it was a joke, a spectacle, a mistake. He's going to come after your reputation and your money. But if we fight back, we can destroy him. I stared at him. You would do that for me? I would do anything for you. I thought about the humiliation at the altar. Haley's smug smile. Nathan's cold eyes. The years of trust and love I had poured into a man who saw me as a dollar sign. I thought about the insurance policy. The forged signatures. The plan to kill me on our honeymoon. I thought about all the women who had come before me, the ones Michael had told me about, the ones who had lost everything because no one believed them. I want war, I said. Michael smiled. It was the first real smile I had seen on his face. Good. Because I have everything we need. He sat down across from me and laid out the plan. File the police report. Freeze Nathan's accounts. Send the evidence to the Sullivan family board. Expose the affair to the press. Take everything Nathan had tried to take from me. It was brutal. It was thorough. And it was exactly what I needed. The board will remove him from the firm, Michael said. His reputation will be destroyed. He won't be able to practice law anywhere. And the insurance policy alone carries criminal charges. Forgery. Fraud. Attempted murder. Attempted murder? He was planning to kill you, Victoria. The honeymoon. The boating accident. He had already researched the paperwork. That's premeditation. My hands trembled. I had known Nathan was capable of betrayal. But murder? I had spent 2 years of my life loving a man who was willing to kill me for money. The thought made me sick. An hour later, the first call came. Nathan. I know what you're doing, he hissed. You think you can ruin me? You're nothing. You were nothing. Michael is nothing. You'll both regret this. I looked at Michael, who was standing beside me, his hand on my shoulder. We'll see, I said. Then I hung up. A text message buzzed on my phone. Unknown number. It said, you have no idea what you've started. Who else was involved in this conspiracy? I didn't have to wait long for the answer. 2 days later, Haley showed up at Michael's apartment building. She was crying, her mascara running down her face in dark streaks. Her hair was a mess, tangled and unwashed. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. The confident woman who had run off with my fiancé at the altar was gone. In her place was someone broken. Someone desperate. Victoria, please. I need to talk to you. I opened the door. I didn't know why I let her in. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face. Part of me wanted to scream at her. But another part, the part that had known her since we were 5 years old, wanted to understand. How had we gotten here? How had my sister, my best friend, become my worst enemy? What do you want? My voice was cold. I didn't try to hide the anger. Nathan left me. Her voice cracked. He took everything. The money from your account. The insurance policy. He told me he only needed me to get close to you. I was just a tool. I felt nothing. Not pity. Not satisfaction. Just emptiness. I should have felt something. She had betrayed me in the worst possible way. But all I felt was hollow. How much did you take? I asked. 30,000. More. He told me it was our future. He told me we would run away together, start a new life. And now? Now he has everything. And I have nothing. Michael appeared behind me. Haley, you need to leave. Please, she begged. I was stupid. I was jealous. I thought if I had him, I would be better than you. But he never loved me. He never loved anyone. I stepped aside. Come in. Michael gave me a look, questioning, but I shook my head. I wanted to hear everything. I needed to know how deep the betrayal went. I needed to understand the full extent of what I had been blind to. She collapsed on the couch, sobbing. We had been sleeping together for 8 months, she confessed. Not 6. He told me he was planning to leave you anyway. He just needed to wait for the insurance policy to be finalized. He said once you were gone, all the money would be his, and we could be free. Gone, I repeated. Dead. Haley nodded, tears streaming down her face. He had a plan. The honeymoon. A boating accident. He had already researched the paperwork. My entire body went cold. Michael had told me this already, but hearing it from Haley made it real. Nathan hadn't just wanted to leave me. He had wanted to kill me. And Haley had known about it. She had helped him. Where is he now? Michael asked. I don't know. He cleared out his accounts. He's gone. Not gone, Michael said. I know exactly where he is. He walked to his computer and pulled up a tracking program. A red dot blinked on a map. He transferred money to an offshore account last night. Then he booked a flight to the Cayman Islands. How do you know where he is? I asked. I've been tracking him since the wedding. I knew he would run. Michael looked at me. We can go after him. We can freeze the accounts before he touches them. But we need to move now. Haley looked up at me, her eyes wet and pleading. Victoria, please. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I'm scared. He's dangerous. He's not just a liar. He's a monster. I stared at her. She was right. She didn't deserve forgiveness. But I wasn't doing this for her. I was doing this for myself. For closure. For justice. What would happen when we cornered a desperate man who had already planned to kill me? We flew to the Cayman Islands the next morning. I had never been on a private plane before. I had never seen Michael in action the way he was now, calm, calculating, completely in control. He made phone calls. He sent emails. He coordinated with lawyers and bankers and private investigators. It was like watching a general prepare for battle. And in a way, that's exactly what this was. Nathan had declared war on me the moment he forged my signature on that insurance policy. Now we were going to finish it. Michael, I said as we climbed into the rental car at the airport, what happens if we don't catch him? We catch him. How can you be so sure? Because he's arrogant. He thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He's already made a mistake. Which is? He used his own credit card to book the hotel. Michael handed me his phone. He thinks we're still in Chicago. He doesn't know we're coming. The resort was beautiful. White sand. Turquoise water. Palm trees swaying in the breeze. It was the kind of place people went to escape their lives. Nathan had come here to hide from his. But there was no hiding from the truth. Not anymore. Michael spoke to the front desk, flashed some documents, and within minutes, we had a key card to Nathan's room. You don't have to do this, Michael said. You can wait in the lobby. No, I said. I need to see his face. I need him to know that I'm not afraid of him anymore. We opened the door. Nathan was packing a suitcase, his back to us. When he heard the door, he spun around, a snarl on his face. Victoria. You. It's over, Nathan. He laughed. Over? You think you can stop me? I have $8 million waiting. I have a new identity. I have a life prepared. You're nothing. Michael stepped forward. We have the police waiting. We have the bank records. We have Haley's confession. Nathan's face went pale. Haley? Haley doesn't know anything. She knows everything. She told us about the boating accident. About the insurance policy. About all of it. Nathan lunged forward, reaching for his bag. Michael was faster. He grabbed Nathan's arm and twisted it behind his back, slamming him against the wall. Don't, Michael said. Don't do something you'll regret. You can't prove anything, Nathan spat. The policy was signed in her name. I have power of attorney. It's legal. Legal? I stepped forward, holding up my phone. The recording was playing. Legal like the forged signature? Legal like the man you paid to sign my name? Nathan went limp in Michael's grip. You ruined everything, he whispered. No, I said. You ruined it yourself. You gambled away your money. You lied to everyone who loved you. You tried to kill me. And now you're going to pay for every single thing you've done. The police arrived moments later. They took Nathan away in handcuffs, his face a mask of disbelief. He kept looking back at me, like he expected me to change my mind. Like he expected me to save him. But I didn't. I just watched. And I stood there with Michael, watching the man who had wanted me dead disappear. The sun was setting over the ocean. The water was calm and beautiful. And for the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. It was over. Nathan was gone. The nightmare was finally ending. Was this really the end of his influence? 3 months later, I stood in a courtroom in Chicago. Nathan was in cuffs, his face haggard and broken. The man who had once been so handsome, so charming, so sure of himself was barely recognizable. His suit was wrinkled. His hair was unkempt. His eyes were hollow and empty. He had lost everything. His money. His reputation. His freedom. And all of it was his own fault. Haley had testified against him in exchange for immunity. She had told the court everything. The affair. The forged signatures. The insurance policy. The plan to kill me on our honeymoon. She had cried on the stand, begged for forgiveness, claimed she was just as much a victim as I was. I didn't believe her. But I didn't care anymore. She was irrelevant. Nathan was the one I wanted to see fall. The judge read the verdict. Guilty on all counts. Insurance fraud. Forgery. Conspiracy to commit murder. The sentence was 20 years in federal prison. No parole. No early release. The judge called it one of the most calculated and heartless crimes she had ever seen. I watched Nathan being led away. He didn't look back at me. He didn't look at anyone. His shoulders were slumped. His head was down. The arrogance was gone. All that was left was a broken man facing the consequences of his choices. Michael took my hand. It's over. It doesn't feel over, I said. It feels like just the beginning. It is. He turned me to face him. But it's a good beginning. We have each other. We have the money back. We have the truth. I looked up at him. You never wanted anything from me. I wanted everything from you, he said. But I was patient. I knew the right moment would come. I reached up and touched his face. I'm sorry it took me so long to see you. You saw me, he said. You saw me at my mother's birthday party. You made me coffee. You talked to me. No one had ever done that before. The first time I saw you, I said, I felt something. I didn't know what it was. Neither did I. I just knew I had to wait. I leaned in and kissed him. It was soft, tentative, like a promise. His arms wrapped around me, and I felt something I had never felt with Nathan. Not passion. Not performance. Safety. Security. Love. We should go home, he said. Home. Wherever you want it to be. I smiled. It was the first real smile since my wedding day. I wanted to be with you, I said. Michael pulled me close. The courtroom was empty now, the bailiff gone, the gallery empty. It was just us. I love you, he said. I know, I whispered. I love you too. We walked out of the courthouse together, hand in hand. The sun was setting over the city, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Nathan would rot in prison. Haley would never be invited to another family event. The Sullivan family board had already removed Nathan's name from the firm. My mother apologized for loving him. My aunt apologized for Haley. But none of that mattered. What mattered was the man beside me. The man who had been patient enough to love me from the shadows. The man who had stepped in when no one else would. He wasn't a performance. He wasn't a convenience. He was my home. And in the end, that was the only thing that was real. We walked to the car. Michael opened the door for me. It was such a small gesture. But it meant everything. He always opened doors. He always made coffee. He always showed up. He had been showing up for years, waiting for me to notice. I had finally noticed. Michael, I said as he got into the driver's seat. Yes? The moment I saw you at your mother's birthday party, I felt something too. I didn't know what it was. I was too focused on Nathan to understand. But I felt it. He looked at me. You did? I did. Why didn't you say anything? Because I was stupid. I was blind. I was in love with a lie. I reached for his hand. But I see now. I see everything. He smiled. It was warm and genuine. Better late than never. I love you, Michael. I know, he said. I've always known. We drove away from the courthouse. The city lights flickered on around us. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Not with Nathan. Not with the lie. But with the man who had always been there. Waiting. Watching. Loving me from the shadows until I was ready to step into the light. Could I ever tell Michael that the moment I saw him at the birthday party, I had felt it too? Or would that be a confession he already knew?